Hey up gravellers and gravelettes. As you can see by the state of my push iron, I've just got back for another epic journey out riding. I actually put that video out last week, and I'll put the link down. If not, just have a look at my channel. Now, one thing that I did say I would discuss in this week's video is the kit that I take with me. Now, what I mean by this is not exactly the kit when I'm going bike packing. I also put that in a video about a month ago. I actually mean the essential kit that I will take everywhere I go with me. So before we get any further, if you are wondering, this is a Lapierre gravel bike. It's the Crosshill 5.0. It is an aluminium frame, carbon front fork, and the only thing I've changed on it is beefing up these tyres to 55mm. These are the Schwalbe G1 Ultra Bites. Absolute solid tyre. This bike I have taken up into Scotland, into Wales, North Yorkshire, Yorkshire Dales, etc, etc. It is an absolute tank of a bike, and yeah, I use this for all my gravel riding, and yeah, touch wood, I've not had a problem so far. Right, so let's make a start and start talking about the bits of kit that I'm on about. All right, so first of all, we're going to split those up into 4 categories. All right, so we have our tools, repair kit, puncture kit, etc, etc. We're going to talk about hydration. We're going to talk about 2 types of safety, so safety kit and digital safety. So let's get into the meat and bones of this. Ironically, guys, I've had to now come inside because true to Yorkshire weather, it's absolutely now pissing it down. And yeah, so let's talk first of all about this tool bottle. So with the tool bottle, it's something that you're seeing goes on the bottom of my bike. Don't know, it's actually worn off now. Bontrager, so one of Trek's products. Yeah, I'm just conscious you can't actually see that with a black marble worktop, so let me put a tea towel down. So in here, what we've got is loads and loads of little bits of tools, which hypothetically should get me through a day for any little minor repair, bits and pieces like that. Okay, so obviously the good old trusty tyre levers here. So the tyre levers, these are actually Giant's own. I've gone through 3 or 4 different pairs of these. These ones are the most robust I've found. No brainer obviously for taking the tyre off, but we don't really want to be using these unless we have to. I'm actually running tubeless, so for me, first line of defence is using this patch repair kit, plug kit. This one's by Muck Off, so we have different various sizes. So as you can see here, probably better off there, for small holes, bigger holes. So hypothetically what I'm doing is plugging these and using the plug-in tool. I've not got a video to demonstrate this, and I'm certainly not going to just punch my tyre for the sake of it. But what you do is, if you've not seen this already, is put one of those inside and then plug it into your tyre, twist, pull, and then what it does, it then seals up the larger hole. You then spin the tyre, and then hypothetically the sealant does the job. What I also have in here is like a scalpel, very, very sharp, and that's just basically just for cutting it off, just to make it a bit more neat and tidy. The reason it's tucked in there, for obvious reasons, I don't want to take the end of my finger off. So next we have good old trusty tie wraps. 9 times out of 10, if it can't be fixed by a tie wrap, it can't be fixed at all. So these are fantastic for holding things together. You can hypothetically wrap these around broken spokes, cables. I've even seen people hold the rear mech hanger on with these if need be, so always worth carrying. This is to take the valve off, so if you need to top up with sealant while you're away, it's a nice little handy tool to have. What I've got is a 5 Newton meter socket here, all the little bits and pieces on there that you need for your Allen bolts, and it goes basically to 5 Newton meters, just making sure that you don't snap anything off or over tighten and crack anything on the carbon elements of the bike. But it's really, really handy to have this with you, pretty much if you need to make any adjustments, fast repairs, one of the best tools. Next is Allen bolt. This one is for my front tyre if you've got to take it off. Might have seen a video a couple of weeks ago on a short where I have the bottle opener on my bike. That's on one wheel, but the other wheel does not have it on it, so it's always worth carrying that with me. Also, Helen, she doesn't have any fixed Allen bolts on hers, so yeah, it's worth taking along as well. So patch repairs, so if you get like a really bad kind of gash in the tyre, you can actually then stick it on the inside just to kind of help seal it up a little bit. That's if it's really, really bad. I think there's also a chain link inside there as well, just in case we need one. But yeah, I would use an inner tube with that. So yeah, you saw on my top tube bag, inner tube in there. Literally that is the last line of defence if I have to. If all else fails, I will use that. So lastly in here is a Muc-Off CO2 inflator. So I do actually have just the standard size, but I've also got the larger size, which is for mountain bikes. Ideally, I'll use this one for resealing, like if I've got a puncture like I did on Helen's bike last week. I use this just to blow the tyre up, and then we'll spin the tyre around quickly to then make sure that the sealant does its job. This one's enough to inflate your tyre, even up to 55mm tyres. I've used this. But I do carry this 25 gram version because yeah, I also ride a mountain bike. But if you have to de-seat the tyre for any reason, you'll know that just a standard pump, something like this, will not reseat the tyre. So yeah, that one, when you put the blast tank on there, it actually does the job for you. So just yeah, always worth carrying around. So obviously the bike buffs among you will be thinking, how much does this weigh? Because that's important. So if we put that on the scales here, so we're 462 grams. Now, realistically, I won't really carry much more with me. It's one of those situations, like you have to have some compromise when you are gravel riding. It's not as if you can kind of get picked up, especially if you like some of the rides I've done in the middle of Scotland. Some of those was like 6 hours long and there's no roads in between, so realistically you need all this stuff with you. Let's be honest, your gravel bike's not the lightest of bikes that you're going to own anyways, so just an extra 460 grams ain't going to make that much difference if it means that you're going to be safe and you can get back. But yeah, I have tried carrying more in the past, and to be honest, I don't use half of it. So yeah, that has got me out of a couple of situations. To be honest, I've never ever burst those tyres, so hopefully I haven't jinxed myself. But with the previous set, I was using this all the time. So no, real handy little bit of kit, and like I said, it tucks away the bottom of your bike, real tidy. Plenty of tyre clearance, and yeah, it's fantastic. So I do highly recommend you putting yourself a kit like that together. Hello, little man. Yeah. So we've got a little intruder here. Say hello, Radley. Oh, you're not in focus. Hang on. There we go. Say hello. You nose, little puppy. Yes, you're going to go through there now. Hey? If I did a YouTube channel about you, I think I'd get a lot more followers, don't you? Come on then. Good boy.
Soon after.
So next I have this little bit of kit. Can you see it here? So basically this is an old phone holder that I had with my previous phone. Obviously phones are getting bigger and bigger. I have in here some bits of first aid kit and other little kind of bits of stuff that I feel as though you need. Now, taking first aid kit with you probably doesn't even cross your mind, and it didn't with me until I'd gone and done the Gralloch route, and unfortunately I actually came off my bike and bust my knee open. I was a good 6 hours before I could get to the next town, and thankfully the pharmacist was open where they patched me up. Since then I have never gone without my first aid kit. So in here we have various bits and pieces, so I'll just kind of pull it all out. And I'll kind of talk you through it. So first of all, we've got some alcohol-free wipes. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, they're going to clean up the wound. I actually saw another thing with these as well, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But obviously, yeah, cleaning yourself up, getting bits of grit out, bits and pieces, making sure if you do cut yourself, it is nice and clean. So next, depending whether it's a small cut or a large cut, I've got some small plasters, some large plasters. Obviously, I needed these larger plasters from when I cut myself before. And if the cut is even bigger, we do have some kind of like these stick-on butterfly stitches. So yeah, it's always worth having these with you for yourself if you're on your own, or obviously if you're out riding with a group, it's you'll be the responsible one for carrying all these bits of kit with you. Next we have a couple of bandages. So this one is if you kind of like, yeah, get a big cut, or if you get a sprain or a break or something like that. Worst case scenario, you can use this to, yeah, a little bit heavier than a plaster. You can use it as a tourniquet, God forbid. But yeah, it's only little, but worth having in there. Next we have basically a triangular bandage for larger cuts, bruises, breaks, things like that. And yeah, one of the biggest injuries is breaking a clavicle. So if need be, you can put your arm in a sling. So I have this as well. Comes in a nice little handy bag which keeps it neat and tidy. And then the other one is if you sprain your wrist. So yeah, hypothetically, we're covering all breaks there. These are the first things that happen. If you're going to break anything, it's your wrist or your clavicle whilst coming off a bike. So next we have a pair of gloves. Obviously you don't want blood all over your hands, God forbid. So these come in handy. So if you're having to play around with your chain, with your cassette where it's oily, if you've got to change out your tyre and you get sealant all over your hands. Also as well, what you can do is put like old inner tubes in here. It just keeps all the crap getting on your clothing, so they're always handy to have. And the other thing that you can do with these as well, if it's absolutely chucking it down and your gloves are not keeping your hands warm, you can also put these on underneath, so they're always worth carrying around. So Kendall mint cake, I've got a couple of sticks of these. So Kendall mint cake has got me out of so many sticky situations. I mean, now this stuff's got a really long sell-by date as well. So hypothetically, yeah, you don't have to worry about swapping it out. Or yeah, that's the thing. If you just want to eat it and keep topping up as you go, you can do. Now, you might think that this is a bit silly, but I do have a lighter. And basically, if you really do get stuck, as you saw 2-3 weeks ago now, I did the Yorkshire Dales, and they have the bovies. They have the bovies in Scotland. They have the bovies in the Dales and Wales, etc. like that. So hypothetically, if a storm comes in, or if you are camping overnight, that's the one thing that's not going to be there. Or if they do have matches, they might have got damp. So I do carry this around with me. And hypothetically, what that's going to do is just make sure that I can light the fire. And one thing that I mentioned earlier on, actually using these alcohol Woo cleansing wipes, you can actually use these to start fires as well. So it's a really, really good little trick is actually use those to get the fire going if there's no firelighters or whatever else that you're going to need to get that going. So that's my basically first aid kit and survival kit, and I do take that every time I go gravel riding. And yeah, again, I appreciate it is more weight to the bike. However, when I weighed this in, it was around 140 grams. So I thought I'd come over here for a bit of a change of scenery. So next I want to talk about digital safety. Now there's 3 or 4 things I kind of really want to talk about, and yeah, they'll make sense as I explain why. So first of all, if you're using your Garmin or Wahoo bike computers, other brands are available, you will be getting that route for those gravel rides. So one thing that I like to do is kind of just share it with your loved ones, with your partner before you go. That way, if yeah, something does happen, at least they know where you are and they can get emergency services to you. Next, again, on those routes, me personally, I like to use Ride with GPS or Komoot. And yeah, of late I have been using Ride GPS more because Komoot has given up some absolute stinkers. So a part of that safety is do your research before you set off. Is it a trusted route? Is it like an organised route, or is it something that someone's just uploaded because they've done it? And have a look, see if there's any comments, have a look, see if anyone's reported kind of any damage to the road recently, anything like that. and basically, yeah, just do your research. So next I want to talk about another safety application, and that is What3 Words. Now What3 Words is an application that's recognised by all emergency services, the police, the ambulance, mountain rescue, and air ambulance, etc, etc. Now What3 Words is a pinpoint system, and you basically, no matter where you are on the planet, those 3 words will locate exactly where you are. So finally, it's my last tip, is don't always rely on using your mobile phone to pay for things. So if you've got to replenish your food, drink, or if you need to book anything as an emergency, yeah, always make sure that you've got a backup. So having a bank card, having a bank card and some money, because not everywhere in the Yorkshire Dales and Scotland take cards. They do rely on cash. You're making sure you've got those 2 with you. So that is my final top tip. So finally, I want to talk about hydration. Obviously, food, you don't really need to focus on too much. You know what works for you. One bit of advice I would say is take extra. I'd rather bring some back rather than need it at all, if that makes sense. So with the hydration, depending on whether it's a long route or a short route, will depend on obviously how many bottles I'll take or whether I take my backpack or not. So with my bottle, and I mentioned this before, is making sure that it has a cover over the cap. That is because what we don't want is sheep shit or dirt getting kind of in your digestive system, because it's full of bacteria and you're going to be falling ill. So yeah, just make sure it's got those little flip tops. This one is from Zefal, I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, fantastic, and it is the largest 750 cl size. If I'm going on a longer outing, or if I know I can't top that up, I do take my Camelback with me. This thing is quite light, it holds 1.5 litres. So yeah, this thing has like a shut-off valve, so make sure that it doesn't leak all over you. Quite easy to do, and it's also got extra pockets, so yeah, things like my first aid kit can fit in there, things like that, so it's fantastic. But yeah, I use this on stuff where I'm going to be like over 4 or 5 hours, or if I know there's not going to be a water source to use. This what works for me. What I like about it as well, it's got this yellow, bright yellow, so when I am on the road sections, cars can see me a little bit better, because I do tend to wear black clothing a lot more. Next, if I'm on those longer routes, I carry this water filter with me. So this is just a standard Solomon soft bottle, soft flask as they call it, but what it does have is the filtration system. So the filtration system, what you can then do is fill that with water out of a stream, use it as a filter, and then you can then squeeze that into the bottle like so. So hypothetically, it means that I can always get water, especially in the Yorkshire Dales and Scotland, where you trust the streams a little bit more. So that thing again, once the air's been knocked out of it, just folds up nice, and again it can just fit inside that bag no problem. Again, that's still quite flat. So yeah, that's what I kind of take with me on my longer gravel rides. Something might work for you a different way, but for me, that is fantastic. So one thing that I like to do with my nutrition strategy, hydration strategy, is actually overfill one of the bottles. So if I've got the bottle and the bag, for instance, I would make up my my correct mixture ratio for the bag. However, what I would then do, let's say for instance that there is 2 scoops per serving, I would put 4 scoops in here, and then what that does, it gives you like a concentrate mixture. As you can kind of see, that stuff's quite thick to start with. And then what you can then do is when you then top up your water, etc, etc, you can then tip half of this into the bag. That way, hypothetically, you've got 3 bottles worth of hydration and fuel with you, if that makes sense. Alright guys, so that's it for this week. I'm sorry that we wasn't out having another fantastic adventure. However, I feel as though it's important sometimes to actually show you what happens when I go out riding, just to pass over some of that knowledge to you. I'm sure there's lots and lots of stuff I've missed, and it'd be interesting to see what you guys do. So please use the comments box And as always, please like, subscribe and share, because that way I can then spread all my years of knowledge through to you all, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Or in Yorkshire as they say, a city.